Hello everyone, my name is Irvin, also known as Koppelman. In today's video, we will talk about blue screen of death. In IT world, this means that you get this blue screen that says dumping files, or there's a smiley or a frowny face actually on it that says dumping files to memory. The reason this can happen is because you may have faulty hardware, faulty drivers, or faulty corrupted local profiles. In this video, I will show you how to troubleshoot these things. This is very important if you want to get into IT, so it's a great video to watch. Let's get into it and see how it's done. So your computer crashed and you got a screen now that looks like this. This is known as a blue screen of death because it's blue. There are some older versions that look completely different, but the one you're looking at right now has a frowny face because in your operating system doesn't want you to feel as bad about it. Well, you got to figure out why your computer crashed, otherwise it's just going to keep happening. While this happens, there is a file that's created called .dmp. This file is actually saved within your Windows folder, which is a root system of your operating system. In order to access that, go to your C drive, go to Windows, and within here, the first type of file that you would see would be called memory.dmp. And that is a larger version of that. There's one also called mini size of it, but it's also located in Windows. However, it's within a folder that's called mini DMP or mini dump folder, which is exactly like this one here. So again, this is the path that you would look for that file. C, Windows mini dump, or just within root of Windows, there would be a file called memory.dmp. Here are some examples of this, and we will go through all of these. These are all examples from different computers, from different people, from the internet that I've downloaded. We will analyze these files with a special program called Windows Debugger program. All right, let's get into it. So there are a couple of ways to get this program, and this is at this link. If you need this link, let me know in the comments below. Also, like the video if you don't mind, appreciate it. You can download this tool from this website here, which is directly from Microsoft, or you can open Microsoft Store and just search for Windows Debugger, like it is here, Windows Debugger. There it is. It's actually called WinDBG. And if you find it, you can simply select install and it will download it and install. After that, go ahead and select open and it will open up our tool that is called Windows Debugger. So we now need to open up the file that we've extracted from our Windows folder or the mini dump folder. And in order to do that, we need to select file, select open dump file right here, and then navigate to the folder where you have it saved. In this case, I will select browse, and here are my folders where I've saved the dump files. Let's go ahead and select this one here, first one. Here we've got many copies of it. Here is the mini version of that, and here is the big one that is called memory one. So let's go ahead and start with the first one and have a look to see what happens. Once you select open once more down here. This will open up the file itself. And I know it looks confusing right now, but don't worry, it's going to become very simple very soon. Here's a prompt here that says for analysis of this file, run this command. Here you can just simply select it because it's a link, and it will go ahead and scan and process the file and look at it more closely to tell you more details of what is going on. So it's actually, the result here is actually not that big. So all we have to do is scroll up because this is the bottom of it where you see follow up and it says machine owner. So we just need to scroll up a bit to the point where we saw that script that just ran, which is this one here. Now we know that this is where bug check analysis has begun. In the beginning, it will actually give you some really good tips, and some cases not so much. It will be more like gibberish. But let's go ahead and look at some of the details here. Right off the bat, it tells you here that driver. So right now, we already know that it's some kind of driver that caused the problem. And it says IRQL, not less or equal. All right, so we just for now know that it's a driver. Somebody who is, pretty good at computers may not even know what this other stuff means, but at least we know that it's a driver issue. And it says here, an attempt was made to access a pageable or completely invalid address to interrupt the request, blah, 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 that is too high, right? So what is this telling us here? Well, it can be telling us gibberish, or we could use logic and kind of deduct of what it may be doing. It says an attempt was made to access a pageable address, meaning that it's an address that it's saved for faster access, something that's within memory that was preloaded on the computer within memory. So this could be memory on your RAM, or it could be on your hard drive, or it could be your video card, or anything else, right? So let's just kind of leave it at that. And it says here, this is usually caused by drivers using improper address. So, and it says here, if kernel debugger is available, get stack backtrace. Okay, don't worry about that. We're not going to get it into super complicated here. So for now, we just know it's a driver issue. There is more. So if we look at other things, in this case here, where it comes to arguments, it talks about specific memory references, and we can look at where these memories locations are, where these memory references are, and this could lead you to a point where it'll help you solve if it's like a bad RAM issues. But in this case, we're not worried about that because, again, this is a driver issue. All right, so let's scroll down a bit more. So go past these parts where it says key value, and you don't need to go too far down until you get to a point where it will give you a what is at fault. In this case, because it's talking about a memory reference, which means a part of memory that's somewhere on the memory of your computer, and it tells you here faulting thread, and it gives you a specific location of that memory allocation. However, if you scroll down even more, slightly more, you can see the process name in this case. Process name. In this case, it's Firefox.exe. So this crash happened while using Firefox. So what does this tell us, aside from the fact that it's Firefox.exe? So this can tell us to check many different things. So in this case, yeah, it talked about driver, but could it be a driver that controls your anything, right? It could be anything. But in this case, we know that is Firefox specifically that caused it. That means some kind of interaction with Firefox. So what can we do? That means we can disable any add-ons on Firefox. We can update Firefox. We can reinstall Firefox. We can do a clean install of Firefox and then see if the issue persists, which is kind of unusual to have something that talks about a driver here. It talks about a driver issue, but yet the crash happened while using Firefox. So in this case, I would start with a Firefox troubleshooting and see if the issue persists. Now, we do have more of these files from the exact same computer, so let's keep going. In this case, in order to open up the other dump file, I need to select Stop Debugging, go to File, go open the dump file, select Browse, and within the same folder, we will go and open up the second dump file that was created from, again, same computer. Select Open. So let's analyze this one. Again, now it's open. Select this link here to analyze it. So this is the second one. All right, this completed. Okay, scroll back up to see what this one is talking about. This one here talks about kernel auto boosting invalid lock release. Okay. And then it says a lock tracked by auto boost. So here we go. Here's something that's super specific. So it's talking about auto boost. So keep that in mind. So a lock tracked by auto boost was released by a thread that did not own the lock. So if you don't know what a thread is, usually thread just means a processing thread. So if I open up Task Manager and anything that you see that is running back here is using processing threads that are based off the CPU. So any of these processes are using a thread of processing the CPU power in order to do anything. So this thing, Auto Boost, lost a lock on a thread because the thread did not own the lock. That means something else was using that. So this thing was trying to access something else that wasn't allowed to use. And it says this is typically caused when some thread releases a lock on behalf of another thread. Okay, So again, we know at this point that auto boost is causing the issues, right? So let's not beat around of the semantics here. We just know that's the issue here. And it says, or when okay, so it keeps talking about a threat. So there is an issue when it comes to memory allocation and possibly, if this is a program, fighting for some kind of a thread or wanting to access certain memory to do certain things, right? So it's getting us to some point where we at least got some information. So this is the first part of it. Let's go ahead and copy this because we're going to do some investigation, because off the top of my head, I wouldn't know what auto boost is, nor would most people that watch this, unless you are the person who owns this computer. So scrolling down, let's look for that second part that could help us. Again, faulting thread, it just talks about the specific memory part of it. And then here is a process name. Just like we've seen Firefox before, now we see something else. And here it talks about Razer Synapse Service. If I'm not mistaken, Razer Synapse Service is, like some kind of a mouse. Don't they make mouses and keyboards? Razer mouse and keyboards? I'm pretty sure that they do. So it's some kind of an input peripheral for a computer. So it could be a driver that's causing this issue for Razer. Anyways, we've got some information here. We got that auto boosting and we got Razer Synapse Service. All right, let's go ahead and go to our Google. Type in Razer, because I believe, oh, look at that. Razer Synapse coming up already. But let's do this. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Somebody already had this issue before. Hence, these suggestions for search are coming up. So let's just hit enter here and see what this is. Razer Boost. So this is wonderful AI from Google now that is helping us. Razer Auto Boost is a feature of Razer Cortex, a freeware tool that helps gamers optimize their PC's performance for gaming. Aha! So, and it says here, with Auto Boost enable games launch with Cortex, the start menu or desktop shortcut will automatically boost. So, this thing, what it does, in-game frames per counter, AI-powered optimization. Here we go, CPU core prioritization. So, now we are coming to some kind of conclusion. We definitely know that this executable is causing the problem. And part of that executable that runs is this auto boost thing. And now we can go back and kind of get more understanding of these locked threads. Because if it's a game booster, these game boosters are basically, in my opinion, they are a waste of money. I would never install them, because what they're doing is trying to optimize your computer for gaming. And what they're doing sometimes is try to flush RAM that is used by some other programs to free up RAM so that your computer can run better. That RAM sometimes is locked by threads used by the processes. So if we put, 2 and 2 together, we can see that this thing does all of these things. Look at this. Optimization, CPU core prioritization, and anyways, this is just kind of in your face type of issue, right? So now we know that this is causing the blue screen of death. In my opinion, I would uninstall this because I don't believe these things actually help when it comes to gaming performance, if you will, or update it to the newest version that will, maybe resolve this issue, right? So this is what I would do here. This is a pretty good one, and you can now see how you can come across a logical way of basically figuring out what is wrong with your computer. Why is it crashing? Okay, let's go look at the next one. So again, it's for the same computer, and we will look at some other computers as well. Open up dump file. Here's the big one here. This is the big one. Let's just do this third one here. I don't want to do the big one because it's a little bit bigger. It takes time to process. Like whenever you select analyze, it takes a while. But of course, if that's what you have, this is what you would do, right? So this one processed really quickly when it comes to analyzing. This is the third one, again, on the same computer. And the first part here, it says this is a kernel internal error. The most common reason to see this bug check is when a file system or has a driver has a mismatched number of calls to disable or re-enable APCs. I'm not exactly sure what APCs are, but it's definitely part of some kind of a driver thing. The key data item is that thread combined APC disable field. Okay, 16-bit. See, this one kind of looks like gibberish, right? It even looks like gibberish to me. I mean, we could, Google all of these things, right? We could Google APC if this is what it's needed for us to figure out the problem. But I'm hoping that further down we will figure out what else could be going on. And it says negative value is either indicated that the driver has disabled special or normal. Okay, so this is, again, messing around with drivers. They control things. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Let's scroll down and see if there's a process that ran that caused this. Here we go again. Process name, Razor Synapse Services.exe. There you go. Problem solved on this computer. And for those reasons, I'm going to move on and go to the next computer that has a dump file. By the way, I found these on just Microsoft forums, people just asking for help, and I got a bunch of these. And let me try this one here. Why not? This is a single one. I have no idea what this one will be either. Okay. This one is trying to open up. You can see down here it's processing with the green bar here. So this one might be slightly bigger, so it's taking a little bit longer to open up. That's all right. The wait is worth it. While we're waiting, please say hello, hi, or thank you in the comments below. This just kind of tells me that you're interested in this type of content. I really appreciate that. It's sort of like in the classroom. Thank you. Here we go. This one is ready for analyzation, or to analyze, I guess. Select analyze. I click on it. Some clickage. All right, it's doing its thing here. There we go. Oh, well, almost there. Okay. Let's scroll up from the beginning, see what it's telling us here. Here we go. Bug check analysis. WDF underscore violation. The kernel mode driver framework was notified that Windows detected an error in framework-based driver. In general, the dump file will yield additional information about the driver that causes the bug check. Okay. So framework could be anything here. Okay, so this could be a Windows driver here. It says right here, warning, unable to verify timestamp for T driver, the W8X64.sys. So these are usually located within Windows, within those System 32, and I think this is one of those Windows drivers, or Windows files, I should say, system files. Okay, I'm going to copy that just so we have it. I'm going to scroll down and see if something specific actually caused the issue. Process name system. Okay, so that makes complete sense. Process name system, meaning your operating system caused this, which makes complete sense now that we know previously that this driver is just one of those drivers that's part of your Windows operating system. So let's kind of look for this. And we can repair this, but don't go to the internet. Do not go to the internet and download this driver to replace it, right? Do not do that, okay? We can repair this without having to do any of this stuff. So let me just go to our root of System 32 and do some search action on this. Here we go. We're inside of System 32. I could Google it, and you can Google it as well, just to see if you can find it. Just bear with me here. There it is. T driver. There it is. It's inside of System 32 as we've guessed. So every time you see .sys, that means it's a system driver. So it's located in Windows System 32 in the drivers folder. And there's another one here. There's one under, well, repository. Okay, so, okay. It's in System 32 drivers. That's where it's located. Okay, and you could have done the same thing and gone to Google and done a search for this just to see what it is. Here, sure enough, looks like somebody already had the blue screen of death on this before, and you can see, get more details of what it actually does, which could help you, come across a solution if that's the issue. But what I would do to repair this and to repair any system files, open up your command prompt, run it as administrator, type in cfc/scan now. What this will do will scan your entire system, and look for corrupted files and replace them and fix them as it finds them. This is how I would fix this. Okay? All right. That's easy enough. Let's go to a different one. Open dump file, browse. Let's go to somebody else's. Let's see here. Let's try this one here. Okay. So while this one is loading, I actually hope we come across one that actually tells us about hardware issue. And this can happen sometimes where it tells you literally which RAM stick is bad. So if you have multiple RAM sticks, one of them could be bad. This would be reflected in one of these dump files. Okay, this one is being analyzed right now. And let's see. Okay, let's look at this one here. Scroll up. Oh, wow, this one's got a bunch more stuff. Okay, that's cool. Okay, uncorrectable error, 124. A fatal hardware error has occurred. Good, because I was looking for a hardware issue. Perimeter 1 identifies type of error, source that reported the error. So perimeter 1 will tell us what it is. Perimeter 2 holds the address of the, okay, so the memory allocation. Okay, what is this over here? Address of the entity records to get more details. Okay, so this is something that we haven't seen before, and this is going to vary from dump file to dump file, and the operating system as well, version of the operating system as well. So these are some kind of, kind of looks like some kind of errors that come up when it comes to trying to read the file. So we're not going to worry about that. I will just scroll down and look for what we normally look for. Here it is. Fault thread. Okay. Process name, Java w.exe. So we found our culprit right here, process name. So it's a process. Again, if you don't know what the process is, it's just simply whatever is running in the background, and you can see all these processes running in your background, right? So Java W. So in this case, this won't be something like we talked about Firefox before, where we know process of the Firefox is going to be in your face. Basically, you see it in front of you. Sometimes you'll see these processes that are running in the background, and for those reasons, you would kind of look for them that on the task manager itself, within the task manager, which again is right here, and you would just kind of look for them and see what they're doing. If you want to stop them from jumping around like this, just click on name here for the column, and they would stop jumping. Then if you scroll down and look for them, you may find java.w.exe. Now, Java, it's been a while since I've dealt with Java stuff, but this, just like anything else, could cause a problem. I want to say Java, this could be Java Web, some kind of a Java Web.exe. I want to say Java Web WC would be, no, WS would be Web Start. But anyways, we will copy this so we can do some research. And it says here, module name genuine Intel.sys. So this is a driver for something that is Intel based. It could be anything. And we'll search for this. We got some information, and that's it. All right, let's start with this Java thing. Java w.exe. Let's do what is. Let's use our AI. It's just better. Java is an executable which is part of Oracle Java. Okay, I know it's part of Java. It's used to launch Java programs. Okay, wow. This is not AI. This is just I guess from some kind of article that is somewhere. All right. All right, so something that runs Java, so it could be anything. Well, look at this here, a Minecraft. Ha! This is from Reddit. There's a Minecraft forum that says doesn't even know what Java WX is. Well, Minecraft runs on Java, I'm pretty sure. I don't know about the newest version. I know the old version of Minecraft ran on Java. Okay, so it could be Minecraft. So let's look at to see what this driver is. I wonder if this is the onboard Intel driver for the graphics processing. You know, like you don't necessarily have a GPU, but your Intel CPU will have GPU embedded graphical processing unit so you can, display things on your computer. Let's see what this one is. So far it's, oh, look at that. Blue screen of death. Of course there is. So this must be a common thing. Let's see what this is. Okay. Let's see. Let's do what is. Okay. Oh, so, well, according to this here, this from some website, is not actually a file, is just a CPU vendor string which is baked into PRCP of the processor. So something part of the processor. Okay, well, according to that website. Oh, here's from Intel. Let's go to this Intel, community.intel. Let's see what these people are saying. This is also blue screen of death. Okay. Let's see, somebody smarter might have a... Okay, just compress the file. So this appears to be a CPU issue, right? Some kind of a CPU issue. So what can you do when you come across a dump file that's like this and it starts to say, oh, it's a hardware issue, right? It's a hardware issue. And if you look at it, it literally says here, a fatal hardware error has occurred. So let's keep that in mind. It's a hardware error. And then when we scroll down, we saw that it was some kind of an Intel thing. And we did some research on the internet and it talked about CPU. Well, what is it on your computer that could possibly be part of your both Intel, that's hardware, and that it's also part of your CPU or that controls certain aspects of the CPU? Well, that would be one thing that's called chipset. And there are drivers specifically for the chipsets that you're using. So let's get an example of how this will looks like. Well, we'll open up Device Manager here, and here are some obvious things that stand out. These couple of these things on my computer. This is not it. Well, it could be if you see tons of these, like 20 or 30 of them. That means that your chipset is not the drivers for them are not installed. Now, if I, for example, expand this here where it says system devices, these are all things that are part of your chipset. You see all these like 30 or 40 things. If you see any issues, like for example, here's one that says Intel, these could be caused by the chipset driver issues. Same thing if you look at the processor here, if you see any of these with like exclamation or issues, this could also be part of the chipset drivers that you will need. So of course, the solution is, and type in Intel chipset drivers, and this could be for HP. So let's say you have HP computer or a Dell, it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and find these drivers. Looks like there's something from HP here. And what is this? Drivers Intel chipset installation utility. You can download this and install the chipsets for your computer, for your specific computer, whether it's HP, Dell, Lenovo, IBM, Samsung, or whatever it is. You can find those chipset drivers. Like even if you have a custom built computer, let's say your motherboard, and this is specifically for your motherboard. So your motherboard, let's say, is Gigabyte or MSI or Asus or whatever it is. Make sure you get these Intel chipset drivers, install them, update them, whatever it is that you need to do. That's where I would start with this specific issue and go from there. All right. So this one is slightly slightly harder, but you at least have a starting place to when it comes to troubleshooting this issue. All right, they're all going to be different. Not all of them are going to be cut and dry. Not all of them are going to be simple. Simple. All right, let's look at some other ones here. I'm assuming this is for the same computer. Let's look at this big one for the same computer, see if anything else kind of comes up. This one may take, well, actually will take longer to process, but that's okay. It'll give me a chance to take a sip of water. All right, let's see what we have for this one specifically here. Scrolling up to the beginning of analysis, and it says clock watchdog timeout. Ooh, okay. And an expected clock interrupt, so it's expected clock interrupt was not received on a secondary processor in an MP system with allocated interval. So is this talking about CPU again? This indicates that the specified processor is hung and not processing interrupts. So again, same computer, here we are again, full circle going back to the CPU. Okay, let's scroll down and see what it says here. Scroll, 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 scroll. And process name, switchhost.exe. So this is something that runs, this is part of your operating system. This is, and it tells you here actually, faulting processor number 2. So you could have a bad CPU too, not just bad chipset driver. So you could have a bad CPU. I would also see if your CPU is maybe overheating, see if the fan is still running. You may need to clean it. See if the CPU is seated completely on your computer. This is definitely a hardware issue in my opinion. And yeah, again, same computer. Same computer. And let's do one more here because I'm really curious if it's going to keep going the same thing. I don't know if we checked this one here already, but let's try it. Analyze. Okay. This one is analyzed. Scroll, 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 scroll. Again, kernel error. This is kind of same one we looked at before. Let me just do this real quick, real down. Steam.exe. So in this case, it was Steam. Ha. So Steam exe is, where you run your video games from, where you purchase your games. So I would look into this one here. It's on the same computer, but I would start with the CPU issue and the chipset. Yeah, I would try that. I feel like it's just crashing whenever you're just running things because it's different thing for everything except those first two that kind of look like you got to start from somewhere, right? So you got to start from somewhere. Let's look at a different computer here. Let's try this one here. See, there is a memory and there is a mini dump here. Let's look at the big one here first. Well, then we'll look at the mini one. All right, let's look at this one here. Scrolling up, this is a different computer in this case. Video TDR failure. Attempt to reset display driver, recover. There you go. Display driver, so your GPU driver, whatever it is that you're running, here's a big flag right here where you can kind of look at it. And this is NVIDIA driver, where it says here, unable to load image. And this is pointing to a driver that is specifically to NVIDIA. The reason I know is because it says NV right here. Let's do a copy paste here just so we can double check. So it's your NVIDIA driver that's causing the problem for your GPU. Yeah, here it is. Tons of things talking about NVIDIA driver. Tons of articles, tons of things that you can look up. All right, let's scroll down here just to kind of see what else comes up. Scroll, scroll, scroll. All right. And more stuff talking about video. And it says process name system. So your system basically caused, because of your system crashed, and that's the process name that caused the crash. It's the system. So because it's just how it showed up, but it's probably your NVIDIA driver. This is what I would do. I would remove that driver and reinstall your GPU driver. So go to NVIDIA drivers, go to NVIDIA website, whatever your GPU is, do a search on it, and install it. Whatever it is, here it is, manual, whatever it is. Let's say it's GeForce, which most likely it is, and then you simply select whatever it is that you use, and select find, and it will get you to the point where you download the new driver, install it, and that hopefully fixes your problem. Again, it still could be a hardware issue where it's overheating or physical damage. You never know, but at least you know where the blue screen of death is coming from. This one is actually probably the most straightforward one here. Let's try a different one. Nope, so that's the same one. Let's try a different one from the same computer and see if it's still talking about the same issue. Here's the mini dump. It might point to something else that's using a NVIDIA driver. So it could be anything. A lot of things on your computer utilize GPU. It could be, well, your display, your web browsers, your like animations on your computer, like, whenever you move stuff around. Anything could be using a GPU nowadays, not just video games. But of course, video games mostly. Yeah, same thing. Video, attempt to reset display driver recovery. So this is the mini version of that mini dump file. And same thing. It's basically the same thing. Let me just see if it shows something else specifically. Yeah, it's same thing. Same thing. Well, there you have it, folks. We've done quite a few of these, quite a few examples. It goes to show, even if you don't know much about computers and your computer is crashing like this and you need help, you can certainly do this work yourself and it will get you started. And I'd say high chance that you could fix this on your own. Just follow this logic, follow these logical steps that will get you to that solution. I hope you enjoyed this video. Consider watching these other videos that you see left or right here, and I will see you next time.